Welcome back to the Traders Network Show. I'm your host, Matt Bird. We're here with Sasha Ivanov, and we're talking blockchain. So before we cut to the commercial break, we were talking about Web 3.0. Let's dive into Web 3.0 and what does that look like for the retail audience and consumers out there? Because at full deployment, retail is not really going to see blockchain. It's an invisible, like you say, database that's going to create things that didn't exist before.
Yeah.
But what does that look like for the average person out there?
Yeah, I think it's time now to move over to some new generation of, for example, social networking. Yeah, so you know about the problems that current social networks have with privacy data, and Web 3.0 promises to actually do away with those problems, and you'll be able, for example, as a user, to control all the content and all your private data. So nobody's going to be able to monitor and collect your behavior, for example,
without you giving permission for that. And is there compensation for use of that data?
Yeah, probably you can just collect your own data and then you can sell it, for example. If you don't sell it, nobody can use it. So it's pretty simple. I don't know if many people understand this, but already there is some market for this, because not all people care about privacy, about private data, but some people do care already. And you have this market, and it's growing bigger and bigger because everybody hears every day about those issues with social networks, with hacking, with illegitimate access to users' data. And people understand that all those centralized systems are a little bit obsolete, and you have to move to new generation.
How can companies today, so if you're a large enterprise, and I'm looking at integrating blockchain, what is the process of those companies have to go through? Because there is obviously an architectural and engineering feat that they have to overcome. What do companies need to be doing to prepare for this move into Web 3.0?
I think this is mostly a problem of understanding, because you don't really understand whether you need this at all. So you need to understand your benefits, and you probably need to understand that it's quite inevitable, because there is a clear path of development from those centralized systems to more decentralized, to better architecture. And it's going to be happening in any case.
So evolution of databases, evolution of technology.
Sure,
we see it every day with hardware devices, but we haven't seen it like we have legacy databases.
Right.
Right. Interesting. So as the blockchain begins to build, then you build machine intelligence and layers on top of that blockchain, much like I guess if I get an accurate analogy, Excel, and then the pie charts that you put on top of that. So you can build formulas and so on and so forth. What are your thoughts on the front end marketplaces that are being developed? We see a ton of ICOs out there, and you're heavy on the enterprise, enabling these companies to find ways to monetize on tokenization. What about the companies out there that are focusing on ICOs and not on the enterprise side? I mean, is the buyer part of the market today because of that? Because they haven't focused on the enterprise aspects?
Probably, ICOs are going to be back, but they need some backing from the legal side. So now I don't think we'll see big ICOs. Actually, we had a pretty big ICO, but it wasn't exactly ICO. It was rather a token sale, private token sale for Vostok project. And we are trying to show new directions for this market, because we're doing this on a completely correct legal basis, and we can work with fiat investors, and we are creating some pretty interesting corporate structure for it and fund structure. So this market is going to evolve into something new, and it definitely won't be the same as it was a year ago. But people understood that it makes sense to try and raise money through token issuance, and it won't die. It will still be there, but in some different form. And we need some support from government. And in this case, governments are like friends for the community, not enemies, because without regulation, this whole market will just stop, because you can't have this market without some kind of investor protection, because people will just lose confidence in, and they did already, actually.
Well, yeah, we're seeing that certainly on the street. I mean, you can see it here in Davos, it's apparent. What are you, if you're going to pick three industries right now for blockchain over the next 2 years, what industries are going to have the most amount of growth within blockchain development? So applications of the blockchain.
I think enterprise usage, like for big enterprise systems, combined with Internet of Things, with big data, with artificial intelligence, we're going to be seeing those projects where you can have several technologies with synergistic interaction between them. This is for enterprise. For retail, I think we're going to be seeing projects with identity on the blockchain, definitely. We can hear about some projects like that. For example, we are trying to do something. Telegram is trying to do something similar. Yeah.
So now you're opening up an office in New York right now.
Yeah.
You've got 5 other offices out there, about 200 employees. You're now opening up in New York. What are your goals for 2019?
We're going to be launching our enterprise solution, which is called Vostok, and it's going to be an open chain and corporate side chains. So it's going to be launched around summer this year, and we want to create a couple of applications for enterprise usage which combine different technologies, because I think that we at this stage need to prove that blockchain is some kind of a fundamental technology on which other technologies can just grow, and blockchain just adds some value and create some synergy between the different technologies.
Has Davos been productive for you?
Yeah, sure. Great networking here. Yeah,
it is.
Many bright people.
There are a lot of bright people here. What are some of the pitfalls of blockchain? What for organizations out there looking to integrate blockchain, what are some of the things they should be watching out for?
Basically, I have seen hundreds of blockchain pilots in different companies, and people are just trying to create a pilot and think that they can actually make something out of it. But if you don't understand why you need blockchain, probably you don't need to start doing anything. First, you need to understand if you really can use it somehow. So if there is some need for a blockchain implementation in your company, if there is, you can proceed. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense, because probably you can't use blockchain for everything. It shines in some settings, in other settings it's not so obvious that you really should use it.
I've heard that, obviously blockchain has become a lightning rod financially. A lot of people want to get into the industry because of the opportunity. But as you peel back the onion, we're hearing even people within blockchain saying, well, that's probably not the best use case of blockchain, which is really interesting. Getting into other aspects of blockchain and where it can go, where do you see the future of blockchain ultimately in, let's say, the next 10 years? Is SQL servers, is SQL still going to be around in 10 years?
I'm not sure that blockchain is going to be around in 10 years.
Really?
So, yeah, sure, because this is just the first technology which is somehow follows a new paradigm, because never before humanity was able to create totally decentralized systems. It's just a prototype. It might be pilot. Blockchain itself might be pilot for something bigger.
It's kind of like AOL. It gave us dial up to the web, and some ISDN, something faster came in and replaced it.
And I'm not really sure that blockchain is going to be there forever, but it's a huge proof and a perfect example of the possibility of those decentralized systems. Decentralization is going to be more and more important. Blockchain can stay there, can be replaced by some new technology. But the idea of decentralization, the idea of more like harmonized and more fair systems is gonna stay.
The immutable record and being able to see chain of custody and those sorts of things. I mean, we're seeing that right now. I think IBM has launched a few initiatives on the agricultural side that seem to be working out well. I know you guys have things similar to Hyperledger that are that you can accomplish what they do and much more. I'm excited to see what you do in the States. It's what you're doing is building something pretty substantial and amazing. We'll see what happens with blockchain about a year from now. And I'd love to get an update from you sometime between now and the next Davos. How does that sound?
It sounds perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're watching the Traders Network Show. I'm Matt Bird. We'll be right back with our next guest. Don't go away.
Forum is brought to you by Salt, providing fintech solutions for digital assets. Visit them at saltlending.com. Special thanks to Russia House and rosscongress.org for hosting our show here in Davos in the World Economic Forum. And a special shout out to Burst IQ for their expert commentary in blockchain